4 departures in 6 years gutted the team that designs every iPhone, Mac, and Apple Watch. Jony Ive walked away. His successor lasted 3 years. Then 2 senior leaders defected to Meta together. Now the future of Apple's most iconic products rests with 2 executives you have almost certainly never heard of. And the story of how they got here starts with a vacancy Apple never truly filled. Jony Ive's name became inseparable from Apple's design story. Over nearly 3 decades, he shaped the look and feel of the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, and even Apple Park. His approach to materials, simplicity, and form gave Apple products a sense of personality that competitors struggled to match. When Apple announced in June 2019 that Ive would leave to form Lovefrom, it wasn't just a changing of the guard. It was a break from the era that had defined Apple's identity. The company's first client for Lovefrom was Apple itself, but the daily presence that once guided every curve and texture was gone. Inside Apple, teams adjusted to life without Ive's sign-off on every detail. The question of who could carry that creative weight lingered in the background, setting the stage for every decision that followed. Hankey stepped into the role of Vice President of Industrial Design in 2019, becoming the first woman to lead Apple's hardware design group. Her appointment came at a moment when the company was searching for stability, but her time at the top was brief, just 3 years. During her tenure, Hankey oversaw the launch of the iPhone 13 Pro line and early Vision Pro prototypes, yet her departure in October 2022 left Apple's design team without a clear, long-term leader. For a company that built its reputation on design consistency, this short handoff introduced real uncertainty. Without a durable successor in place, Apple's sense of creative continuity began to slip, and by late 2022, the design organization found itself operating with an unresolved structure at the most critical level. After Hankey's exit, Apple's design teams found themselves answering to Jeff Williams, the company's chief operating officer. This was a break from tradition. Instead of reporting to a creative leader with a singular design vision, both industrial and human interface designers now answered to an executive whose main focus was operational efficiency and supply chain discipline. The consequences were subtle at first. Internal discussions began to reflect a new priority on hitting manufacturing deadlines and optimizing production costs. Designers who once debated the curve of a device or the weight of a new material now found their proposals filtered through operational checklists. Without a chief design officer at the center, the design group became more reactive, shaped by what was possible within the constraints set by operations. Internal Slack messages, later referenced by journalists, revealed a pattern. Design proposals were sometimes set aside if they risked delaying a product launch or increasing complexity for the assembly line. The absence of a top creative executive wasn't just a matter of missing a famous name on the org chart. It was a structural change that shifted the balance between creative ambition and operational control. The organization could keep moving, but the sense of a unified design identity began to erode. For a company that once defined itself by its design leadership, the lack of a single creative voice left a gap that spreadsheets and schedules couldn't fill. In December 2025, Apple's design organization faced its most dramatic talent loss in years. Alan Dye, who had shaped the look and feel of Apple software for a decade, left to join Meta as Chief Design Officer. Dye was not just a behind-the-scenes figure. He was the public face of Apple's user interface, often appearing in keynote presentations to explain the thinking behind iOS, watchOS, and the visual language that defined a generation of devices. Alongside him, Billy Sorrentino, a senior design director known for translating high-level vision into working products, also made the leap to Meta. The 2 departures, announced within days of each other, sent a ripple through Apple's design ranks. Losing both Dye and Sorrentino at once meant more than just empty seats. Each carried years of institutional knowledge, the kind that is not written down, how a gesture system should feel, how subtle haptic feedback can make software and hardware blend together, how to hand off a design from the user interface team to the engineers building the physical product. With Meta actively recruiting Apple's top talent and promising to make design the heart of its new hardware and AI push, the loss stung even deeper. The impact of a simultaneous exit goes beyond the headlines. It disrupts the quiet routines that keep a design organization moving, mentorship, cross-team handoffs, and the unspoken judgment that only comes from years of collaboration. Even with skilled designers remaining, the absence of senior voices slows decision-making and leaves gaps that cannot be filled overnight. Apple responded by shoring up mentorship programs and pushing for more documentation, but the question lingered: could continuity survive when the people who built it were suddenly gone? The company now faced a vacuum at the top, just as new design challenges were emerging. Steve Lemay's Apple story spans back to 1999, a stretch that covers every major shift in the company's software design. From the early days of Aqua on the Mac, through the radical simplicity of iOS 7, and into the era of Apple Pencil Pro, Lemay's fingerprints are on the frameworks that define how Apple's devices feel to use. His promotion to Vice President of Human Interface Design didn't come out of nowhere. It came from decades of quietly shaping the core experience, often prioritizing restraint over flash. Where some designers chase attention, Lemay is known for system-level thinking and a steady hand. His colleagues describe him as the person who sees the whole chessboard, not just the next move. As Apple faces pressure to simplify and clarify its software, his background in consistency and human-centered design gives the company a credible path forward, one that favors continuity and thoughtful evolution rather than reinvention for its own sake. Molly Anderson's rise inside Apple reflects a steady accumulation of trust and responsibility. She joined the company in 2014, quietly building a reputation for deep technical rigor and attention to the tactile realities of hardware. By 2024, Anderson was leading the Industrial Design Group. In early 2026, her name appeared on Apple's official leadership page as Vice President of Industrial Design. Her influence is already visible in products like the Apple Pencil Pro, where she pushed for a matte textured barrel and a more natural balance. These details turn a stylus into a tool that feels like an extension of the hand. Anderson's public comments about the MacBook Neo hint at her priorities: lighter, more sustainable materials, and a focus on durability without sacrificing the premium feel that defines Apple hardware. Her approach ties the company's physical products together, ensuring that the look, weight, and touch of each device support the broader design language. With Anderson shaping the hardware side and Lemay guiding software, Apple now has parallel leaders working to restore a sense of continuity across both what you see and what you hold. In March 2026, Apple updated its official leadership page, adding Steve Lemay and Molly Anderson as vice presidents for human interface and industrial design. This move did more than fill out a corporate directory. It served as public evidence that design was once again a top-level concern, not just an internal function. For years, design leadership had been absent from this roster, fueling speculation about Apple's creative direction. Now, with both names listed alongside other senior executives, Apple made its priorities clear to employees, investors, and competitors alike. The company was no longer content to keep design in the background. By restoring design to the executive spotlight, Apple raised the bar for visible accountability and signaled that the look and feel of its products would be shaped by leaders with a direct line to the chief executive officer. Integrating artificial intelligence into iOS is proving to be one of Steve Lemay's biggest design tests. Apple isn't just adding new AI features for the sake of novelty. The challenge is to make them feel like a natural part of the system, not an afterthought. As AI suggestions and generative tools spread across messages, photos, and even Wallet, the risk is clear. Too many pop-ups, too many competing widgets, and suddenly the interface feels crowded. Discoverability, once a strength of Apple's design, becomes a puzzle when intelligence is everywhere but not always obvious. Lemay's team faces pressure to create a visual language that keeps the experience clean and predictable, even as new layers of intelligence appear. The coming iOS redesign will reveal whether Lemay can deliver the kind of clarity and restraint that made Apple's software iconic, or if the pursuit of AI will make the system feel less like Apple and more like everyone else. The next generation of Mac hardware will be the proving ground for Molly Anderson's design leadership. Her focus on materials, like the titanium aluminum alloy used in the MacBook Neo, signals a drive to make devices lighter, sturdier, and more sustainable without losing that signature Apple feel. Every hinge, edge, and finish is chosen to balance durability with tactile comfort. At the same time, rumors swirl about a foldable iPhone, adding outside pressure, even if Apple has not confirmed any such device. The real test for Anderson's team will come with the hardware that ships in 2026 and 2027. Those products are where Apple's new design era will be judged by the way they look, the way they feel, and how they hold up to the company's own legacy of innovation. Apple's next iPhone isn't just about new tech, it is the first real test of its new design leadership. As competitors push bold ideas and AI reshapes expectations, Apple's choices now will define whether design still leads or simply follows. The next generation begins under new hands. What do you think?